What's going on, Jeromes? We finally made it. It is the Monday before the draft, and seems like it's been a long time. But this week, we will finally know who's going to be part of the 2024 class. We know who the Vikings are probably going to have for the future franchise quarterback, and Kwesi. This is it, man. Like, last two off seasons, had some sweet, had some sour, but this time, let's hibachi this mother. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, but now it officially is Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi adofo-mensah's team. Find their quarterback of the future and go from there. Also, so it just feels like the vibe, whether it's JJ at his youth camp, at the Wolves game, on Instagram, it just feels like something is imminent with Jefferson and the Vikings. And it just feels like maybe something is in place, at least a framework. Maybe they're just crossing their T's and dotting their lowercase J's. But it feels like, I have no inside information, but I'm a reader of vibes. I feel like the vibe is that something is going to get done. Maybe it's announced this week during the draft. Maybe they shelve it until after the draft as to not take away from what the Vikings are going to do. I don't know. But either way, I feel like there has never been an inkling that the Vikings were looking to trade Justin Jefferson. And even though the media and other fan bases want to push that, I don't think it's going to happen. I think JJ is going to be here long term, and I think the Vikings will treat him fairly, take care of him, and go from there. It's great. Something that should not go from there. So this is a bit of a rabbit hole. So, of course, CT ESPN, I don't know why, but it's kind of taken over the news dump the last couple of days. But they had their notable misses. And also, like, half of their reports like, breaking, Justin Jefferson's getting traded. So, whatever. But they have been correct in terms of some of the uniform leaks. And the NFL now, with the third helmet rule, teams are going to have a third uniform, third kit. And it's exciting what the Vikings are going to do. So when CT ESPN put out the leak for the Vikings alternate jersey for 2024-2025, I didn't pay it any attention, right? But NFL Fashion Advice, who is one of the best accounts to follow on the old Twitter machine, if you love NFL jerseys, NFL fashion, like, it's a great account, right? So they responded, Vikings leaning all the way into the winter whiteout, a different number font, and word mark too. So they're giving the CT ESPN report some credence. They didn't hedge and say, if this is true, blah, blah, blah. We don't know if this is legit, blah, blah, blah. So them just responding to it does make you think that, okay, maybe this could be it. And at first blush, I hate it. Like, I'm Mr. Purple Positivity on most things. I dislike this uniform with a passion. It looks like the Minnesota Northwestern Wildcats. And I know that Thomason and Will Raggets will like it because they're Northwestern alums, but this is so dumb. And the Vikings have so many better options for the third kit. Now, I know, well, they can have a white helmet, a white jersey, a white pants. Get it. Fully understand that. And maybe it's just a sketch that makes this look completely sus, but I'm starting to learn to speak J.J. McCarthy because I'm trying to fit in with that generation. I hate it. But these uniforms, maybe wants to see him live, maybe wants to see him with the helmet with different pants, maybe. But this right now, no. Also, speaking of uniforms, so one of the best ways that a NFL player changing teams, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a draft pick, to ingratiate themselves with the fan base, is get in with the local baseball team, if applicable, right? And a lot of Vikings players have thrown out first pitches, woo, go Twins, all that stuff. And Kirk Cousins, when he came to the Vikings 2018 from back in the day, he definitely leaned into the Twins fandom. And of course, famously, last year when the Twins were making that playoff push, getting tickets on a Tuesday, which he takes off during the season. But yesterday, leaning in with all the Braves gear and stuff. So I don't know, like, does it bug me? No, not really. Like, it's expected. Again, the quickest way to get in with the fan base, get eyeballs on you, and build up some goodwill is adopt the baseball team. And did Kurt do this with the Nationals? No. Did he do this with the Detroit Tigers? No. But here we are. Although he grew up in Michigan, so he probably was a Tigers fan. Doesn't matter. But the whole thing is that he went from Kent Herbert Kent Herbeck tagged Ron Gant out to Ron Gant was pulled off the bag. Like, he pulled a complete 180 on this thing. I don't get it, man. I don't understand. But it's okay. Bully to him. Now he could talk about how Smoltz and Glavin and Wohlers and Maddox were the best staff of all time, as opposed to, I don't know. Hey, you know who's good? Brad Radke. Please, man. Speaking of the Falcons, so we put this out on Sunday because we're getting down to it. The draft is on Thursday, and it's obvious that the Falcons tampered with Kirk Cousins. Now, would they have prohibited Kurt from returning to the Vikings? No. I think that Kurt was going to leave no matter what. So they tampered in a spot where there's no other team that was coming to get him. And Kurt, in his press conference, admitted he had spoken to / met the athletic trainer as well as the PR team for whatever reason, right? So that is a clear violation. Now, the league drags its feet on everything. And, the tampering with Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals, which... why would the Cardinals ever tamper with Jonathan Gannon? That punishment of draft pick swaps between the Cardinals and the Eagles wasn't announced until the morning of day one. Now, this one is a little bit different because I feel like the magnitude of this one could be severe. And it could be involving the first-round pick because it goes back to when the Dolphins were tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady. They had their first-round pick taken away. And the Panthers drafting at 8. I mean, if the NFL just announces this the day of the draft, it completely changes the complexion of the first round. And that's not fair to the rest of the teams, right? And if it involves a pick swap, which I'm not holding my breath. I'm like 70% sure the Falcons are going to get punished, but it won't involve the Vikings. 20% of me says that nothing will happen, which if that happens, there are no rules. So every single team should meet with every single free agent, and the free agent should meet with the athletic trainer and PR staff before the new league year starts because, again, there are no rules, so whatever. But 10% of me thinks that maybe the Vikings will get some nice. Now, they won't just be given number 8, but that would be sexy. But could they get a mid-round draft pick? Could they get one of the Falcons' third-round picks? Sure. Could the Vikings potentially get a pick swap of getting number 8 versus number 11? Yes. And also, it's been theorized that's one of the reasons why the Vikings haven't made their trade up the draft board yet, because they're waiting for the league to rule on this because they could get freshened up a little bit. Because say this is a severe punishment for the Falcons because they were very overt in their tampering with Kurt, and Kurt even admitted it, right? So what if it's swapping 8 for 23? Now, do you think that the Vikings trading up into the top 5 would have a different tone and tenor if they had 8 and 11 versus 11 and 23? Yes. Which is why, if there is going to be punishment this year, which I think that there should be, what are they waiting for? They already have all the information. And again, if they're going to announce punishment, the longer they wait, the more disrespectful it is to the process. Because this would be a slightly larger piece of information of either the Vikings trying to trade up, or if the Falcons are stripped of 8, how does that affect the Bears at 9, who now become 8, as well as the Jets, and when everyone moves up a spot. So I don't know. Like I said, if there is going to be punishment, announce it now. You can't go back and change the past. You can't announce it 3 weeks ago when you had all this information as it was, but announce it today. Announce it on Monday so the teams have a couple of days to digest what's going on. And yes, if it involves first-round picks, great. If the Vikings just magically get a third-round pick, sure, let's do that. Yeah, so, no. Next, PFF Steve, Grand Poobah over there at PFF, he did up a predictions of quarterback landing spots, and I agree with them for the most part. So Caleb Williams, 1 Bears, Drake May, commies. Now, a lot of people are tying Drake May to the Commanders. I don't see it. I feel like Daniels makes more sense, but who knows? The Patriots sticking and picking at 3, taking Jane Daniels, certainly possible, and that would open the door for the Vikings, if McCarthy is their cup of tea, to trade up to 4-5, potentially get up ahead of the Giants, as well as box out the Broncos and the Raiders for quarterback 4. So, and then also he predicts Michael Penix Jr. to the Raiders, probably at 13, and then Bo Nix to the Broncos, whether that's them sticking and picking or trading down and still getting Bo Nix, or trading into the back end of the first round. It's either way. So of the big 6 quarterbacks, I agree with the spots for the most part. Williams Bears, I think, is a lock. I think Penix Raiders, I think there's something there. I think Knicks and the Broncos, I think that there is a connection there as well. Now, you could just jumble up May Daniels McCarthy, could be Daniels May McCarthy, could be Daniels McCarthy May, etc. So I think Commies, Patriots, and Vikings, you could shake that up and randomize it and think you'd be good to go there. Speaking of Patriots, so yesterday we talked about Ben Volen saying that the Patriots, he believes that they like Drake, that the Vikings like Drake May more than the Patriots. Of course, Mike Reese, ESPN, pushing back on that, and that the Patriots could stick and pick and take quarterback at 3. This is from Purple Persuasion. Quote, so now, barring an unexpected blockbuster trade offer, according to sources, the Patriots will move forward with a plan that has been months in the works of getting a quarterback. Now, we've gone through the scenarios before. Say the Patriots are all in on Drake May, and say that he goes to the Commanders. So they could be happy to take Jaden Daniels. They could be happy to take JJ McCarthy, and they could like Daniels and McCarthy, but maybe they don't love him. And it could open the door for the Vikings to make a blockbuster trade. Now, Patriots right now are talking to us like, we need an unprecedented trade. Now, you're going to get a precedented trade, and you're going to like it. So the Vikings, this is our hypothetical right now. And I think that it's going to cost what it costs. If the Vikings want to get up to 3, it's going to be expensive. But if the guy is the guy, it's worth it. So to get to 3, Vikings giving up 11, 23, 108, their first 4th-round pick this year, as well as a 2025 first-round pick. That is a haul. So 3 1s and an early 4th. And we put it out to you, the Jeromes. So 2,800 voted, and 56% said nah, they would not do this deal, whereas 44% said yeah. And I understand, like it is a polarizing issue right now, and mainly it comes down to if the guy is the guy at the quarterback position, the trade is worth it no matter what. And if he busts, it's obviously not. But is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? I would say if the Vikings are completely sold that whichever quarterback is shaken out at 3, the one that they want, go get him. Go get him, or stick and pick and play the board. Who knows, man? Who knows? Something I do know is that there's a weird gaslighting right now when it comes to the draft, where everyone and their moms be like, hey, you know who's the sleeper of this class? South Carolina wide receiver Xavier Leggett. Now, a lot of people say, like, he should be getting more attention. He's been getting so much attention the last 6 weeks. It's been kind of weird, but, like, he is the darling wide receiver of this year's class. Like, he is this year's Mingo, who went to Carolina, had sort of a whatever rookie year. So it's Ricky Pearsall had his moment in the sun. Lab McConkey got a lot of love early on. Xavier Leggett, XL, has been getting nothing but hype the last couple weeks. But again, the gaslighting is like, how come no one's talking about him? Everyone's talking about Xavier. I think that he could be a back end of the first, top end of the second round type guy. Frankly, if the Panthers are able to secure him at the top of the second, that would be a great get for them. But also, we need to talk about this. So Xavier Leggett on his stomach has a tattoo of what appears to be Jim Belushi. Wait, no, John Belushi. Yeah, Jim Belushi is the brother who had the sort of funny sitcom, right? But so John Belushi, I feel like that was a cardinal sin. But John Belushi tattooed on the stomach. Now, I want. That's Anthony Edwards. I want to know the story. Now, so I don't have any tattoos. I've always thought about it, but at the end of the day, I was just like, I can't decide what I want on me permanently. Now, a lot of people have a couple tattoos. There's quite a handful of people who have a lot of tattoos. Right now, people will get random tattoos, and on the outside looking in, we'll make fun of them. It's like, oh, why do you have Prison Mike? Or, oh, why do you have a tic-tac-toe board? And be like, well, the Prison Mike episode of The Office was the last one where my girlfriend and I watched together before she died in a horrific hot ballooning accident. And they're like, oh, okay. So everyone says that they have deep meaning behind all their tattoos. I want to know the story behind the Belushi. Xavier, XL, what's up with Belushi? Now, I really hope that that's John Belushi, and it's not just a very poorly done tattoo of a beloved family member who perhaps has departed, because then I would feel like an a-hole. But I'm pretty sure that I feel like South Carolina Gamecocks players, especially star players, will get the premium tattoo treatment in Columbia, South Carolina. So I don't know, man. but why? Something I do know, Anthony Edwards is him, and this is going to be a lot of fun. And we got some good feedback. We did a recap video when the Wolves beat the Suns' ass on Saturday, so I think we'll just do that for the playoffs. Every single game, do a recap and reaction, but 15 mo. That's all that you need. Foe. And just raise that Larry O'Brien trophy one time. One time, man. And also, all of the pieces are here. Rudy Gobert, youngish. Nah, youngish. Cat, young. Anthony Edwards, young and rising. Everything is here. Finchie, rising on up, becoming one of the best coaches in the game. Let's go, man. But that's it. Vikings news up for this beloved, blessed Monday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.